Baseball isn't just numbers, numbers, numbers.
This game is not being played on computers.
You don't do that with a bunch of statistical gimmicks.
You don't put a team together with a computer.
We're talking weighted runs created plus,
expected WOBA,
his sweet spot rate,
defensive runs above average,
average exit velocity,
barrel rate,
xFIP,
BABIP,
SIERA.
We are above replacement radio. And welcome to Above Replacement Radio. We're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Giant. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I'm doing very well today. We've had a couple very good World Series games at our expense in the last couple of days. One of them, instant classic. The other one, maybe a little more forgettable, but it was pretty good for the first like 7 or so innings. Yeah, we got a split series going into Arizona.
Yeah, unfortunately, I missed out on both because I protest any World Series that doesn't have a large market team, or is near an ocean. So, unfortunately, I've been missing out because this wasn't entertaining enough for me. The fact that
this was MLB's biggest nightmare World Series.
Yeah, exactly. Like you need, first time since 2016 that it's not that the Astros nor Dodgers are in this one, and I made sure to skip that one, that 2016 one. I don't know what happened there, but I'm sure it wasn't.
At least there was a large market team, though.
It was a large market,
and it was near a lake.
Yeah, they were near large bodies of water.
Pretty great one, actually.
Great bodies of water.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been pretty cool watching. Watching game one was pretty stellar. Luckily, I was able to come back in time for the real dramatics of it, the Corey Seager and Adolis Garcia home runs. But yeah, it's been pretty fun. It's been kind of what I expected. Like I expected, we both expected a pretty competitive series here, and here they are. They're split after game two, heading into Arizona. And yeah, I mean, we could just jump right into game one. I know personally, like when I saw that, Rangers had the lead, I figured they would kind of hold it comfortably with how Eovaldi was and how he was pitching in those first 2 innings, but runs into a little bit of bad luck, and also just the Diamondbacks kind of execute offensively, and eventually they go up on top 3-2.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they had some good, I guess, Babippery in that inning, but that's all right. Tommy Pham did homer in that inning. Right.
I thought that was the next.
That was the next inning. You're right. Yeah, but, single, sack bunt, triple. That was also when Leody Taveras took that weird route on that ball. Yes,
that kind of caused the triple. Yeah, just looking at that third inning, you have a 62.5 mile per hour exit velocity single with a negative 53-degree launch angle.
Alec Thomas hit a tapper that just got by.
It was a projected distance of 2 feet. And then Evan Longoria with another ground ball single. That one's
not a hard hit ball.
Yeah, not a hard hit ball. I mean, not even close to it. It was 0.1 miles per hour off. But it did have a 490 expected batting average. So it was probably not going to be a hit, but it did have a 49% chance of being a hit. And then Geraldo Perdomo sack bunt. Then you got the triple. And unfortunately, yeah, for Leody Taveras fielded it weird. He ran in front of it, and it just went behind him. And
yeah, there was also that fielder's choice that Corbin Carroll scored on. I have no idea how he scored on that. I know that he's very, very fast, but if you watch that back, most of the times that's not even a ball that people run on.
Yeah, exactly.
I hit one to first, fielded nicely by Lowe. Wasn't a great throw to the plate, but even still, I think a good throw. It would have taken a perfect throw to get him.
Right. And Diamondbacks take the lead, 3-2. Then the Rangers tie it up, or no? Did they not?
No, the Diamondbacks. Or no, they did tie it up on a walk.
Yeah, they tied it up.
I believe it was a Mitch Garver walk. Yeah, it was 2-out because it went strikeout, walk, double, walk.
Yeah, it was Zach Allen did not have his best performance that day. And then Tommy Pham home run. Then the Diamondbacks tack another one on later. and then it's 5-3, battle of the bullpens, and Diamondbacks bullpen seems to be going well, but unfortunately they run into Corey Seager. Yeah, how did the previous batter get on?
In what inning?
In the ninth inning.
In the ninth inning, it was a single.
Yeah.
Or no, it was a leadoff walk to Leody Taveras.
Yep.
Yeah, it
Yep.
was by Seawald.
It was trouble there. And then Corey Seager with a bomb of a home run.
112 off the bat, 33. So it gets sweet spot rated, unfortunately, uh, but 418 to left or to right down the line.
Yeah, and I mean, it can't be emphasized enough how much his postseason legend just continues to grow. But also, it's just generally like he was one of the best hitters in baseball this year, and that's just continuing. I think he's just playing like he had been playing pretty much for all of the season that he had in the regular season.
Someone made a very funny point that this was the Rangers' first World Series game at the new Globe Life Field, but it was Corey Seager's third home run in the World Series at Globe Life Field.
Yep, exactly. It's pretty hysterical how that worked out. But
yep.
He just continues to mash, and then eventually in the 11th inning, Adolis Garcia hits a home run. Goes to right center field, hammers it. It's 106 miles per hour off the bat. Just needed enough air, and it did have that. And his postseason legend continues to grow as he continues to have amazing moments. This was an unforgettable game one, and I know you had some stats specifically on what made it so great in that game one.
Yeah. So first of all, Adolis Garcia. I mean, obviously everyone remembers the walk-off home run, but he had some really good at bats, particularly some really good batted balls. Just getting into it very specifically, he had 4 hard hit balls throughout the game, which was pretty remarkable. So in the first inning, he had a 116-mile-per-hour single, which is the hardest hit ball in World Series history in the Statcast era. Since 2015, no one's ever hit it more than 116. So, I mean, his first at bat, hardest hit ball we've seen in the World Series in at least the last 8 years and probably beyond that. In the 5th inning, he hit a 108-mile-per-hour ground out. And then in the 8th, a 97-mile-per-hour single. And then, of course, the 106-mile-per-hour barrel that went over the right field fence. And he became just the 10th player in the StatCast era since 2015 to have 4 hard hit balls in a single World Series game. So, pretty impressive, very impressive game for him. He was locked in. He was, hitting the ball hard. He went 3 for 4 on such hits with the walk-off home run, and also, like I previously mentioned, the hardest hit ball in World Series history.
Right. And there were just some big moments in this one, and Corey Seager's was especially huge. Not often this early in a World Series do you have such a clutch moment, and this is your stat, Daniel. Is his 9th inning home run had the 3rd highest championship win probability added on any hit in a World Series game one in World Series history. 3rd highest in the history of this World Series, goes back to 1903. It added the possibility of the Rangers winning the World Series by 14.79%, which is pretty spectacular there.
The 3rd most in a game one. Did you see what the other 2 were?
Was it Kirk Gibson?
Kirk Gibson was the number 1, obviously.
And I forgot what the other one was.
Well, it's one of our favorites.
One of our favorites.
Think Mark Simon.
Oh God, why am I completely blanking on this one?
It was in 1924.
Oh, was it Roger Peckinpah?
Yes, yeah. It was. It was a 9th inning double. Not even with 2 outs, by the way. And in a game that they went on to lose, in a series they went on to win. But he hit a 9th inning double to tie the game for the Senators against the Giants and send it into extras, I believe. A game in which they did unfortunately lose, but
won the series.
That 9th inning double increased the the championship probability for the Senators by about 15%.
Yeah, there we go. Shout out to Roger Peckinpah, MVP and Hall of Famer. Is he a Hall of
No,
Famer? No, he's
I
not.
don't think so.
I know he
Should
had
be.
one of the accolades. So
Should he be?
no,
I don't
probably
know.
not.
That
Definitely.
would be also probably not. Oh well, he did have an 87 OPS plus for his career.
So did
And
Ozzie Smith.
he had yes. By the way, his MVP season, he had a 91 OPS plus. He just hit 294 on the team that won the pennant.
Yeah.
45.1 career D-WAR. That's not awful. He just probably played extremely good defense.
Yeah.
His D-WAR is only about 10 points away from his O-WAR, so that's a bit concerning.
Yeah. And D Ward doesn't account for those errors he made in Game 7 of the 1925
That
World
is
Series.
true. People don't want to talk about it.
I mean, you can blame it on the weather, but it was the same for the Pirates.
He had 314 career sack bunts. That probably doesn't help.
Maybe it did help for his voters.
Yeah, right. Hey, maybe it would have been way worse.
He's a team guy, team player.
Yeah, he would fit greatly on this Diamondbacks team.
Yes, he would.
I think they bunted 3 times in game 2.
Yeah, and look at what happened. They won 9-1.
Yeah, they wouldn't have won that game.
See, we can talk about all these stats of how
I think one of those bunts turned into a run.
we can talk about all the time how the team that out homers the other team is whatever, has like a 900 winning percentage, but I mean the Diamondbacks scored 9 runs after bunting 3 times, so
yeah,
that's all I need to know.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, anything more on game 1 before we talk about game 2?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very surprising, and this is definitely a good note more than it's a bad note, but for how much of a question mark they were coming into the postseason, this was really the first this is the first I guess whoopsie from the Diamondbacks bullpen that we've seen. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone else looked great, I mean, Ginkel pitched the 8th and he was spectacular as always. I think Thompson pitched in that game as well. Mantiply, uh yeah, and that was everyone leading up to Stewald, and yeah, unfortunately, he did give up the homer, which it was a first pitch fastball up, which is Corey Seager's a guy that does swing at the first pitch quite a lot, or definitely more than anyone ever. So I mean, giving him a high and in fastball, especially, probably not the best move, but that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't looked at like his whatever hot zones and whatever, but I know he's a guy who takes an uppercut swing, so I feel like he's more vulnerable top of the zone. However, yeah, it was kind of the first like major like where the Diamondbacks had the lead and they blew it. Like it's like the only time that's happened so far, and they've been pretty consistent, which is why they're there. So you wonder if that will continue. I doubt it because I mean they've just been so good, and if you're gonna give up a game tying home run, it's probably going to be to Corey Seager.
Yeah.
He's the best hitter in that lineup, so you kind of have to tip your cap.
Just for context, Corey Seager swung at the first pitch in 52.2% of his plate appearances this year. If that sounds like a lot, or if you're not sure what it sounds like, that's the highest rate among the 133 hitters with at least 500 plate appearances this season. He's the only one. He's the only one that swung at more than half of first pitches. Fernando Tatis Jr. was second at 48.8%.
Yeah, that is crazy.
So I mean, there you go, right there. I mean, a first pitch fastball up and into Corey Seager. That's like it was a mistake. I mean, it was a pat pitch that was asking to be hit out, and that's what he did.
Yeah, it looks like he slugged 421 in that zone, I think. So it wasn't the worst, but it was in the strike zone, and
he did also slug 619 against fastballs or against four-seam fastballs.
That's true. Yeah, could have started with a slider or something. So
Sleeper slider. He had a 67% hard hit rate on fastballs with by the way, his expected numbers actually indicated that he was unlucky. Like it
Yeah,
was a bad first pitch right there. That's I know I just explained why it is for 5 minutes, but I mean there you go.
yeah. I mean, nonetheless, it is an extremely good piece of hitting. Um, most guys aren't hitting that out first pitch, but Corey Seager is the type of guy that is going to take advantage of that. It's just hard to do, but he he can do that. He can do that for sure. So yeah, he gets the game tying home run. Adolis Garcia gets the solo shot. Rangers bullpen holds it down in extras. Good for them. And yeah, they did. Rangers bullpen actually didn't allow a single run, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, all the runs were Evaldi's.
All the runs were Evaldi, so that meant that they went, I think, 6 innings, 6 shutout innings. So good on them for being able to do that. However, in game two, it the tides turn a little bit. Jordan Montgomery is not, as dominant as you would as we've come to know him to be necessarily. Also, by the way, the Rangers did not walk anybody. The Rangers bullpen did not walk anybody. So shout out to them. In game one, they did not walk anybody. 6 strikeouts, no runs, no walks. But yeah, in game two, Jordan Montgomery does not strike out a single batter, I'm pretty sure.
He did not.
He did not strike out anybody. 6 innings, faced a ton of batters, but did not strike out anybody. I think had a 5% whiff rate or something like that. I'll have to double check here.
It was very low. Yeah.
Yeah, he got 37 swings and 2 swings and misses for a 5% whiff rate. Yeah, it was pretty something, but you got to give credit to the Diamondbacks offense there too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is more of a Diamondbacks thing than it is because I mean, Martin Perez came in and got 4 swings and misses in just an inning and a third, and I know he did also give up 4 earned runs, um, but yeah,
Yeah, it definitely is something there, and yeah, the Diamondbacks as a whole in that game had an 11% whiff rate, which was the lowest whiff rate in a World Series game since 2017, and they only had 2 strikeouts in 42 plate appearances, which is the least amount of strikeouts in a World Series game since 2010. 2010 was a pretty long time ago, but
yeah. Wait, who was in that World Series?
Giants and Ranger.
Who was managing the Giants?
Bruce Bochy.
Oh, I wonder what that guy's doing now.
Yeah, I wonder what he's up to. Probably long retired at this point.
Yeah,
But,
he did actually. You know what? He did retire after 2019. Remember?
that is true. So he is technically like long retired.
Yeah, so he's not in baseball anymore.
But yeah, and then on the other side of things, Merrill Kelly was the star of the show.
He was great.
What he did?
Yeah. So Merrill Kelly, first of all, 22 called strikes, which is very impressive. Something that you just don't see a lot of. And that is the most. It was the tied for the most called strikes in a single World Series game since Steven Strasburg in Game 6 of 2019. Which was awesome, and also a 36% called strike and whiff rate. 36% of all pitches he threw either were swings and misses or called strikes, which is the 14th highest rate among the 178 World Series outings since 2008, with at least 50 pitches. And you had a couple others as well.
Yeah, this was the longest World Series start since 2019. He went the longest. He went 7 full innings. Which everyone's gonna be so excited about that. Because obviously, but the Diamondbacks had a cushion and they used a lot of their bullpen the previous day, so figured they'd give him a longer leash, and it worked out for them. He only ended up giving up 1 run, and that was in the 3rd inning, I believe.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks were up, I believe 4-2 when he exited the game.
4-1.
4-1, yeah, 4-1 when he exited the game, and then they scored 3 in the 8th. If they scored those runs earlier, he probably could have gone like later into the game.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
He was at 89 pitches, which in the regular season you'd probably throw him out there for the 8th, but it was only a 3-run game. Anything could happen at that point. And by the time that they had scored 3 more runs to make it 7-1, like he was already sitting a while. They already had Andrew Sofrank warm, so it made sense. But it would have been cool to see him go further out there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. As far as like takeaways from these first two games, I'm kind of like I'm not sure what to expect from the Diamondbacks offense. I mean, granted, they scored combined 14 runs, which is really, really good, but game one, they struck out 14 times. Game two, they struck out 2 times. So it seems like it's a pitcher to pitcher basis.
Yeah.
I have no idea what Max Scherzer is going to bring to the table. Like, he hasn't been good in these 2 starts, but if he pulls out a great start, I'm not going to be surprised. I mean, he's Max Scherzer, um, but yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm not led in any particular direction after these first 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that I'm sure of is that there's no way we don't go back to Texas, right?
It would be shocking,
I
yeah.
would be very surprised if one team wins all 3 of the games in Arizona. Um, the Rangers haven't lost on the road all postseason. Diamondbacks have played very well at home, all things considered. Um, but yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and I don't feel like I don't feel like there's really that much pressure on either team to go into Texas with a particular lead, because I mean, I felt like the Diamondbacks, most of baseball fans thought the Diamondbacks were completely out of it when they went back to Philly down 3-2,
Yeah.
and they seemed to figure it out. And
Either way, yeah.
yeah,
Going back to Merrill Kelly for a second, he gave up 3 hits in the game, and one of them was a 75-mile-per-hour single. One of them was a 69-mile-per-hour single, and the third one was the home run to Mitch Garver that absolutely should not have been hit for a home run.
yeah.
Like
And
it was not a strike, it was a sinker down low where you're supposed to hit a ground ball, and somehow Mitch Garver took it out at 404 feet to the left.
yeah, and this was I made a very, very specific, very filtered stat about that, but it was the first sinker out of the zone hit for a home run in the World Series since 2009. But I think there have been like hundreds of home runs since 2009 in the World Series, and like none of them have been a sinker out of the zone. So
Yeah.
I figured I'd bring that up. But yeah,
No, it was crazy. You're not supposed to do that.
no, you're not supposed to hit them in the air, first of all. And you're not supposed to
Hit them
crush
that
them. But yeah, anyway, that was a fun thing to point out. Yeah, I'm not led in any particular direction after this one, which I enjoy. Like, I don't feel like I'm giving up on the series at all. I'm just more excited for what's to come. And then along with that, I'm not really scared for either team if they get behind.
Mhm.
The Rangers went into Houston down 3-2, and the Diamondbacks went into Philly down 3-2, and they both succeeded. So I don't, I don't really get
Yeah.
worried about either of these teams facing adversity.
The Rangers in game 2, this was just a thing I just noticed. They went 1 for 8 on batted balls with an exit velocity of 100 miles per hour or more. So they had a 125 batting average with an expected batting average of 572
On
on 100-mile-per-hour batted balls.
Okay, yeah.
The lowest It's the lowest batting average on 100-mile-per-hour batted balls in the World Series throughout the Statcast era. Minimum 5 of such batted balls. I know it's very, very specific. Basically, what it means is tough luck. Which, I mean, when you lose 9-1, probably doesn't make that much of a difference. Although it was,
Yeah.
maybe the game is managed differently if those bounce another way.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But
They
yeah,
also slugged 500 with a 1437 expected slugging.
right. It would be much more of a conversation had they lost 4-2.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So I mean, tough luck on the Rangers side of things, but the Diamondbacks did also hit the ball very well.
maybe to put all these numbers into perspective, it's a sign of hope for the Rangers offense. It's not they didn't score 1 run because they were awful on offense. It's just some batted balls that usually don't find gloves found gloves, and they're hitting the ball hard. I mean, they struck out 9 times against Kelly, which is tough, but you're not going to be facing Kelly till game 6, most likely. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt. Take the 1-run performance with a grain of salt.
That's what I'd say as well.
All right. Anything more before we wrap up here?
No, I think that was everything. I'm excited to see what happens in the desert. I mean, I'm sure. I really hope. I mean, I don't want to guarantee anything, but I'm almost positive we got to be going back to Texas on and during the weekend.
Yeah, the idea of one of these teams taking all 3 in the desert is just it wouldn't make sense to me. But given the lack of predictability that these playoffs have had, it would be funny if just the Rangers won all 3 in
Yep.
in Arizona.
Or the Diamondbacks.
Yeah. So we will see. It's gonna be fun. I'm really looking forward to watching all 3 of these games. Yeah. So if you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and want to watch the conversation as it happens, go to the YouTube channel. It is called Above Replacement Radio, and subscribe to it. Check out all the digital content and whatnot. Check out the playlist with the guest interviews. We have a good amount of them. I was just like thinking about randomly just on the couch, like how good the Chris Rose interview was. You know, it happened over 2 years ago, but like what he was saying to us about like his opinions on Major League Baseball, like media in Major League Baseball and MLB Network and the ins and outs of intentional talk. That was like, I feel like I took that for granted at the time, but that was a really good candid interview that we had
And
with
since
him.
then, we've seen a lot of kind of what he said come to fruition because I think the baseball media landscape has dramatically changed. I mean, the best example is, have you seen Foul Territory with Scott Braun?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that? There's like 6, 7 former players that are regular contributing members of that. There's people that go to John Boy. Like yeah, people are kind of breaking free and wanting to be more independent. And it's definitely changed the landscape quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure. So check out that interview. We did it a couple of years ago, but I mean, it's just fun to look back on. Along with that, follow us on social media. Follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran. And follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you next time, where hopefully we'll just be talking about games 3, 4, and 5 and previewing games 6 and 7. Hopefully, but we could be talking about the World Series champions. So we will see you then.
This conversation is over.